And welcome to Ark Survival Evolved Basic Starting Guide, Part 1. I'm going to divide this starting guide into different parts. This is for new players that are going to be playing single player and that want a basic rundown of what's going on in this game. And the first part is the settings. The settings are an issue, unfortunately. You would think they would actually have this stuff done, but they don't. You're going to have to do this yourself. So the first thing you're going to familiarize yourself with is the key bindings. And then one of the most important ones you're going to want to do is your whistles that commands your dinosaurs to do stuff and attack this target. You're going to want to have somewhere convenient for you to use, so your dinosaurs all attack a single target. Attacking a target puts all your dinosaurs on aggressive mode after, which kind of sucks because you're going to want neutral as a standard thing. Because the only difference is that when you attack something, all your dinosaurs are going to attack it, and when you try to tranquilize something to tame it, your dinosaurs are going to attack it. So you're going to want to put them all into neutral after or into passive mode, either way. But that is how you can help organize your guys on your attacks and their default settings. The other things you're going to want to get used to is the gamma settings. So there's two different gamma values here, and I changed mine to comma period to change them. Kind of handy over there. But in the gamma is done poorly in this game too, so you're going to want a lower value in the daytime because of the glare that they have on everything. It's not realistic, and same for nighttime. It's too dark at nighttime. Especially with bad monitors, they did a poor job, and that's why they just built in two different gamma settings, because they can't fix it because that would require a lot of work to do, and so just fix it yourself. Lower and higher gamma, just make use of that. It's really handy. It'll save you a lot of time worrying about nighttime stuff and all that kind of stuff. Adjust it to your heart's content for that. But on here we have the advanced settings here, which is just one of the other screens that have different settings on them, and most of this stuff is under default settings, but except for the melee camera animation. You're going to want to have that turned off. That is an annoying effect. When you swing your weapon, your whole screen moves back and forth. It gets really annoying real fast, so have that turned off. Same with the camera view bob. I don't know if you like that. When you run around, you're bobbing around, and that's like the same with the melee thing. So yeah, have that turned off. I think everything else in here is default, like allowing the crosshairs and stuff like that. I think that's normally as it is. And yeah, I think everything else in here is normal. So just, you got a good look at that. So carrying on to the other settings right here. There's not much settings you want to change because this is just, video audio settings. Adjust this to whatever you feel like it. The things you're going to want to have, make sure you turned off is motion blur, and make sure that is off. And your camera shake scale, I'd recommend putting that down to 0, because you don't want your camera shaking around when the big dinosaurs come around. It's neat to see it the first time when you have the big dinosaurs shaking your screen when they're walking around, but after a while it just gets annoying and you don't want to bother with it anymore. So these are the basic option settings you can change, and now we go into the games changing. You're going to want to go to host local to start your game up, and this is the basic island that you're going to get for free, and all these other maps are the storyline additions that you still don't get, which is kind of sad, I believe. And then of course you get your custom maps, which represent some of the newer things that they add, and new dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. You're going to want to play these also. At least they're free, and they'll have some of the effects that the storyline has too, just not as much. But let's go on to the settings right here. The Ark rules. The difficulty level is one of the first of the many rules in this game that are kind of broken. So its default value is going to be, your dinosaurs are going to be max level 50. So increasing the difficulty to maximum increases the dinosaur levels to maximum of level 150 to start with. You can increase this higher if you want. Like I think you can put a 2 on. Oh, yeah, you can go higher if you want. You can do whatever you want. It's your game. But I recommend just leaving it on. I would recommend leaving these settings to the maximum min values that you can put with the slider bar for most of them, at least. So difficulty, this means your dinosaurs are going to be level 150. That actually makes the game easier because all the dinosaurs effects are based on percentages. When you tame them, you can get a maximum effectiveness of like 100%, which gives you 50% more levels. So, at level 50, you get a maximum of 25 more levels versus 150 where you get a maximum of another 75 levels. That makes your dinosaurs a lot more powerful once you tame them, which will make the game easier, except when you're not on a dinosaur yourself. But most of this game is you're riding your dinosaurs, so it's, it's 50-50 type deal. Just don't overthink it. And then we go over to the taming speed, and that's the next thing you want to put up to as high as you can, and change it to wherever you want. There's events that increase the taming speed, so don't worry too much about it. And you think in making it easier because it's increasing your taming effectiveness, which means your dinosaurs are going to be higher level. It's not going to overpower your game because there is starve taming in this game. And that is one of the natural effects that they still haven't fixed, and they probably won't, because that would take too much work and people would get mad, because that's just the standard way things are done in this game is the starve taming. So that just means you just starve your dinosaur, keep him asleep until he has his food bar is empty enough till you can just feed him all the food that you're going to need to tame him all at once, and then the dinosaur will eat all that food and be tamed up at like 100% effectiveness. And that just represents that right there. So taming speed is like a neutral effect on increasing. It won't matter much for most of the dinosaurs out there. So you're not going to make the game easy or harder by changing that around too much. You're just going to save yourself some time in a single player, so don't worry about your time-saving measures. And as such, we have down here, we have our dino harvesting damage. That is going to allow your dinosaurs to do more damage and harvest a lot more resources a lot faster. Same with the harvesting amount. I just put that to 2.0. Just a little bit of an increase. It's higher on the bar here, so that just means your dinosaurs are going to be harvesting a lot more resources for you a lot faster and getting stuff done. So you're just going to get stuff done faster. And then down here, we have a player harvesting damage at times 5.2. And that will help you collect more resources faster. So that's all it's going to affect. So that's what I recommend you do. Enjoy your game a little bit more. And then we go down to the settings over here. And you're going to want to make sure enable crosshair is turned on. I just don't touch anything else basically myself. And you're going to want to have show player map location turned on. I don't know why that's turned off as a default, but that just shows you where you are on your map when you actually use your map. So, make sure that is turned on. And then the game, I think all those other stats don't really matter much. Make sure you use single player settings. I think that's on default anyways. Allow unlimited respecs. Make sure that one is turned on, because, you're going to want to experiment with your character and respec as much as you want, instead of just waiting for a level up. And then when you're max level, you're going to have some difficulties. But another thing you might want to change is allow flyer speed leveling. This is just off because on servers, you can see there might be a problem with people leveling up their dinosaurs on their flyers real fast and flying around. That is a server issue, not a single player issue. So yeah, you might as well have that turned on just to have another dynamic for your dinosaurs, for your flying ones at least, so they're not, in the dark on leveling up their speed. So let's go to the advanced settings right here, and the next thing that we have on here is allow cave building for PvE. Well, you're playing by yourself in single player, so you can build in the caves all you want. Of course, you can see there's going to be a problem in PvE. It's going to be a problem when it's not single player, basically, right? Because you can block caves off, you can do bad things in PvP and stuff like that when you're doing multiplayer cave building. And and what else do we have here for settings? So all these things here are default until we get down to, go through here slowly, to the mating and dinosaur stuff like that. So the only thing that you really need to change is the mating interval, and this value represents a faster value, so 0.1. This just means that you mate your dinosaurs faster, you're not wasting your time. Hatching speed for your egg, a higher value means it's faster, obviously, but mating interval down, so it's less of an interval, that's faster. And baby mature speed at times 5. At 5.0 is what I limited it at. You don't want to fool around too much and make it too high, but five times faster saves you a lot of time. It still makes it kind of interesting and stuff like that. To counteract in this game here, there is a cuddle thing which affects the imprinting value of your dinosaurs. So you're going to want to imprint your dinosaurs. If you're going to print a dinosaur that's growing up and get 100% on it, the 100% represents like a stat boost of like 3 stats, I believe it is, or maybe a little bit more, that go up by 20%. Basically, your dinosaur is going to be like close to 20% better if you get full imprint on them, and that's the way the game is meant to play. And to counteract the faster mature speed at times 5, you're going to want to put the cuddle interval down to 0.1. This will allow you to imprint 100% on all the dinosaurs that you're meant to be able to imprint on. It'll just balance it out. So you don't want to put that down lower, so you actually can. It doesn't, because it doesn't automatically change it, which would have been nice, but it doesn't, and that's why you're watching this video, so you know how to fix these things, so they actually get the natural values out of them. And then harvest health, I have no idea why another harvest health is right here, but yeah, that just means the resources in the world have twice as much health on them, which means they're going to have twice as much resources on them. So all the trees and stuff like that and rocks, they're going to have, that you destroy, you're going to have twice as much health, which converts into twice as much resources on them. They're just weird on the settings. Anyways, let's go over down to here on the next settings that we are going to change, and that is the spoiling time. Just up that a little bit to 2.0 instead of 1.0 the default is, because some of the things just spoil a little bit too fast and kind of makes it boring. And I just don't like it myself, and that's why I recommend putting that up there, because I don't like seeing meat spoil in 1 minute. It doesn't make sense. Even if it's prime meat spoiling in a minute, that kind of sucks. And you want to be able to cook it all and not have to worry about running back and forth and having 20 campfires going just to cook your meat so it doesn't spoil. Give yourself a little bit of extra time, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, the next major thing that we're going to change is the dinosaurs' levels ups and their stats. And the only thing you really want to fool with is the stamina and the weight value. That's the only thing that's going to help you save some time and not make yourself stronger, basically. So the stamina is going to help you move around, so you don't have to stop and rest a whole bunch of the times. But you don't want it too high, because it is like a combat stat. So you just want a little bit of a boost, so you can avoid waiting all the time, and the wait for making up multiple trips back and forth. So you're going to want to put your things to 2 and to 5 for the weight, and do that for the dino stats per level, and add that for the the tame dinos added per level, the 2.0 and the 5.0. That's the only thing you really need to change, is the carry weight and the stamina, so you can adjust that. Dino stats affinity, that is just what I said before about when you color your dinosaurs and get the imprinting bonus. That is that. Just leave that as is. Leave the imprinting basic values right there. And we go to the player stats. The player stats right here, I just recommend changing your stamina to 2.0, so you get twice as much stamina per level up when you level up into stamina, so you can use those extra points that you would naturally put into stamina for other abilities that I put all the times 5 right here. So torpidity, normally you don't use this one. This torpidity is basically for falling asleep. You normally don't put any points into there, so having it times 5 means you might actually try a couple points in there, and since you're going to have a couple free points from stamina, you can actually stick them into there. And same for oxygen, food, and water. Oxygen is the only other stat that actually is decent to have, because that increases your speed underwater, along with how long you can hold your breath. So that one you might not want to change to, because it might be too high for you. But I just like to put in a couple points into there just for fun. But even though you're just going to be using dinosaurs mostly underwater, and you have food that can help you breathe underwater better, and you got equipment that does it for you, so it doesn't really kill the game too much. The next thing that might hurt the game too much is the temperature, temperature fort ability. But this game is kind of broken in that regard, since you can't really rest and sleep at night, and apparently campfire sometimes isn't good enough for you to actually survive and not get frozen to death, even though you're staying beside it, and it's not icy outside. So that doesn't make much sense to me, and so I don't respect that value myself. So I don't care if I have it at 0.5 and I dump a whole bunch of stats in there, and I have my temperature fort up to 100 right away, because it just saves me some time waiting for the weather to get warmer, since you can't really carry fire with you, and it's ridiculous. If it's snowing out, I get it, but if it's not, why am I freezing to death type deal? If they did a poor job, I can't respect them for that. And this will just save you some time. If you can sleep at night, then I recommend. Then that's a whole different story. If you can sleep at night, then you could just go inside your little house and sleep, and get rid of the nighttime cooling effect, and not have to worry about increasing your stats. The other thing, of course, you want to put your weight up to times 5, so you can run around and carry more weight and enjoy your game. So you can go around and build stuff a lot faster without having to make trips back and forth all the time. So let's carry on to the next one. Show floating damage text. You're going to want to have that turned on, so you can actually see what's going on with the damage. Very helpful for when you're first playing it, so you can see exactly what you're doing and what your level ups and your dinosaurs are actually doing. Like, if you get them imprinted, there's mating buffs. If you have a mated pair with you, you actually can see what the damage is like, and stuff like that for your interest. And allow custom recipes. I think that's on default, but if it's not, just allow it on there so you can make your own recipes for later on. And then the other settings you're going to want to change right here is to go with yourself is the loot quality from the crates and fishing loot. Now, I don't think much people do fishing. Fishing is kind of sucks in this game, but if you are going to fish, you're going to want to get good stuff from it and actually have some have some value to you. I still don't have any value with it at times 5. I still don't care about it myself. It's just not that interesting, and the loot isn't that great or groundbreaking in any way. The crate loot value, don't worry about putting this up to times 5 in the servers and stuff like that. This here loot quality is way higher than this as a default. You could justify putting this up a lot higher if you wanted to. That just means you're going to get better loot out of those random loot crates that you can find, and you're going to get better percentages on your gear. It's still not going to be as much as you're going to see on some of the other videos, but it's going to help you out a little bit, and you can adjust this as much as you want, and yeah, it'll just make it so you can actually play the single player part of the game and actually progress, because you actually have these things that the other things have. So, and that is it. That is all of the settings that you're going to need to fool around with to get started. So stay tuned for part 2, where we actually get into the gameplay and how to get started and how the game works. So I'll see you next time.